Hi, this is an intro to the next to the video that you're about to watch. This is part one of I've owned 5 cars this year. This first video is only going to go over 3 cars I've owned. A 2001 Ford Taurus, a 2000 GMC Sonoma pickup 4x4, and my 2007 Ford Focus that got totaled in the accident when I was rear-ended by a semi. Anyway, I talked quite a bit about my little car, and I'm going to come back and do, of course, in the video. I have to say that the Ford Focus was hands down the best car I've ever owned. The 2001 Ford Taurus was also a good car. It really was a good car. And it took me many places. The Taurus took me many places. I car camped. I traveled, I road tripped, I took so many trips in that car. That car was a good car too. I did do a fair number of repairs, and my ex-husband called it a piece of crap, but it really wasn't. It was actually a good car, and I did do some repairs when I was on the road, but I traveled a lot in that car. I mean, one of my last trips in that car was 232,000. I left North Carolina and drove to Pennsylvania with 232,000 miles. At 210,000, I drove from North Carolina to Minnesota. I think at 190,000, it was North Carolina to Florida. I mean, I took many long trips, and I mean, you know, many long trips. So it was definitely a good car. And anyway, this is my apologies, I just shook the phone, my camera, and I hate that. But anyway, it's starting to get dark. Anyway, let's get to it. Here's the video. Hi, and welcome to this next video. I have went through 5 cars this year. I've had these little videos or slideshows, whatever, in one of my folders on my phone for a little while, and I've been meaning to do a video. It's just something I kind of wanted to do. Anyway, I'm sitting here waiting for it to basically get a little darker. I'm uploading a YouTube video right now and waiting for it to get a little bit darker. Right now I'm headed back to North Carolina. A couple of days ago I started having issues with the current car I'm in right now, and transmission issues. I don't know if it's a major transmission issue. I don't know if the transmission cooler lines could be leaking. That's a possibility. I did go into a ditch. I don't know. Or it could just be that the fluid is dirty and old. The car's only got 49,000, but, you know, maybe it is. Maybe the car's very sensitive. I don't know. I know that the fluid is kind of a brownish color. It's kind of brownish gray. And I know that it's not supposed to be like that. The guy at AutoZone said, you know, he didn't know. He figured it was normal. I don't think it is. Every time that, every other car I've had, it's pretty much pink. Even when it gets dirty, it's still kind of a pinkish. But this fluid looks a little bad, you know. It's kind of, like I said, brownish, grayish. I'm not sure. As far as I can tell, it's not low, but it doesn't look good. It looks like, you know, something, like it needs to be changed. And anyway, I don't know. I'll have to look it up in the manual. I'll have to ask the dealership, but I don't know. As far as them looking and doing a test on my transmission, they said that it was over a month before they could even get my car in to even test the transmission. They did tell me to go to the quick lane. They could examine my transmission cooler lines, check the fluid, that kind of thing. Flush it if it needs to be. I know that if it's having issues, they don't recommend that it be flushed. So I'm kind of going to have to, you know, play it on the down low so that they'll flush it, because, you know, I mean, they say, you know, if it's you know, can cause more issues. If you're already having issues, flushing can cause more issues. As far as I'm concerned, if there's a transmission issue and you don't flush the transmission fluid, granted, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. It could cause, maybe it could cause more issues. But the thing is if the transmission fluid is not flushed, it's going to lead to the, you know, failure of the transmission. So either way, you flush it, causes more issues, transmission fails. Okay? Don't flush it, it's going to lead to transmission failure. You know, it's, you know, either way. The only thing I can see about maybe waiting is if the person, you know, if they think that they may need a new transmission, and maybe not flushing it will allow the car to run longer with the issues, then I can understand that until they save up the money to put another transmission in it. That's not my logic. My logic is flush it, see if it helps. If it doesn't help and it makes it worse, then it's probably going to need a new transmission. And my logic is, I have the money to do it right now, replace it sooner than later. I don't want to be out on the road someplace and start having issues and the transmission fail on the road somewhere. That's not, you know, that's not for me. That's not me. Anyway, so like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm going to go through, just go through some of the, you know, tell you a little bit about some of the cars I've went through this year. Now, a couple of them I didn't have this year. I've had longer. But, you know, I'm going to go through it. I'm just sitting here waiting. I don't want to drive my car any more than I have to. I'm going to go try to find a Subway and then head over to the Flying J. This first video is of a white Ford Taurus. I owned a 2001 white Ford Taurus. I purchased it in December, like the very last day of December 2007, so basically January 1st 2008. I didn't drive the car that much to begin with. My ex-husband drove it. He drove it for about a year, back and forth to work, and then one night we had went to a dance at, of all places, a VFW of our mentors, Ralph and Ruth. Anyway, and the seat did not want to go back. It was sticking. So at that point, I decided to take the car because I felt like that the power seat would probably, you know, I figured that the power seat was just right around the corner to imminent failure, but I didn't want to get stuck in his position because he's, of course, taller than me, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to drive it, you know, in his position. So I took the car. I'm sure he was grateful. He was always complaining, saying there was stuff wrong with it that wasn't wrong with it, saying it was making a funny noise, saying the lights weren't working, just all kinds of stuff because he hated to drive it. He didn't want to drive it. Not that it was my, you know, but, you know, it wasn't my place to, you know, supply the vehicle. But anyway, he did have to get back and forth to work, so he drove it. And after a year, I took it. I bought the car at $79,000, like I said, end of 2007. About a year later, at the end of 2008, actually, I take that back. I think it was the end of 2009, or maybe it was the end of 2008, early 2009. I don't remember. I remember it was in December. So, anyways, I took the car, and at that point, he'd been I had driven it on a few little trips. Right after I purchased it, I drove it from North Carolina to Ohio. And Michigan, you know, and I think maybe South Carolina 2 or 3 times on some little shorter trips. So I had driven it, but not a lot. Anyway, when I took the car at, you know, when the power seat started to act up, it had 96,000 miles on it. I drove it for 4 years. Excuse me. I'm a little tired today. Well, actually, I am tired. I haven't been going to bed until late. Anyway, you're going to sleep late. Anyway, and so 96,000, and I drove it for the next 4 years at 175,000. I had to do a valve job. I let the car idle a lot, excessively. So that led to, I think, the failure of the valves anyway, or one of the valves anyway. Warranty company would only approve a partial valve job anyways. And I continued to drive the car, got the car back, continued to drive it. Like I said, 4 years. So from about 2009 until 2013, I drove the car. In 2013, the power seat finally took a crap. 4 years. It took 4 years to take a crap. I knew that the seat was not, you know, I knew that there was a problem with it, and I knew it was getting ready to fail. I just thought it would keep going, you know. It was just my bad. Anyway, it failed. Took it into a dealership, of course. You know, they weren't going to fix it. It was too old. It had almost 250,000 miles, too many miles. So that's when I purchased my Chevy Impala. And that's a whole other story, and the Impala is not in this video at all. I don't think I have any pictures. I wish I had kept some. I hit a deer out in Spokane, Washington, had the whole hood of the Impala covered with stickers. But anyway, so I got rid of the Ford Taurus at $250,000. Someone got it, and they drove it another 3 years. So all totaled, it lasted very, very well. I did do a fair number of repairs, but it was not really excessive. I mean, I was doing a lot of repairs from 125 to 140,000. A few things started breaking down. From 140, I didn't do any more repairs to 175 when I did the valve job. And then I didn't do another major repair until I think 228 when the fuel pump went out. So all totaled, it was a good car, a really good car. This next video is my 2001 GMC Sonoma pickup truck 4x4. This was not something that I had intended on buying. It was strictly my ex-husband. We were in Tennessee, Elizabethton, Tennessee. We happened to go by a lot. Randy Lewis Used Cars. By the way, don't do business with that man. I did business with him, and it was a nightmare. So whatever you do, don't do business with Randy Lewis. Anyway, I just had a really bad experience with the man, just really super bad. But anyway, and just altogether, anyway, I won't go into it. Bad. But anyway, my ex-husband happened to see the truck. Well, actually, I take that back. He didn't see that truck. He saw that Lewis Used Cars had a lot of trucks. So we were up there, and then actually we turned around and went back like a few days later, and my ex-husband wanted to go in, look at the trucks. We did. I test drove a few, 2 or 3 trucks. There was one that my ex-husband really wanted. It was a Silverado on a lift kit. He really wanted that, but I couldn't get in and out of it. My personal pick was a Toyota 4Runner, but it just wasn't useful. It wasn't going to be, as my ex-husband calls it, utilitarian. I couldn't haul anything in it, like a pickup truck, so it really wasn't useful. Anyway, so at some point, I guess Randy Lewis brought the truck out. We saw it at the front, test drove it. I liked it. So that's how I came by the truck. Anyway, unbeknownst to me, I don't know where the truck spent its life, but I'm pretty sure it spent its life in Tennessee, and I don't know where in Tennessee it spent its life, but wherever it was someplace that had a lot of snow, because now the whole front end is completely rusted out. This is the truck that I took into the mechanic, and the mechanic told me that it was scrapyard material. And it makes me sick. It makes me absolutely sick. I actually like to drive the truck, at least around town. Now, I don't like driving it out on the highway. I really don't. But As far as around town, I like it. It doesn't get particularly bad gas mileage. It's not a huge truck, so it doesn't get bad gas mileage. It's actually kind of fun to drive, but it just, anyway, I mean, it made me sick when the mechanic told me that. He called me up, told me that, you know, the wheel bearings are bad. It needs speed sensors, which I guess control the transmission. And then went on to tell me that if he did all the work, I would probably need a transmission replacement. I mean, you know, it's just sickening. And he told the main reason he would not do the work and will not do the work and doesn't recommend that the work be done and that it be taken to a scrapyard is because the whole front end, he said, is rusted out. He said that he's afraid to do the wheel bearings because he's afraid that if he starts taking stuff loose, that it's so rusted that it will literally just fall apart. You know, the whole frame, the truck will collapse. So he told me, he said, it's not worth doing the work. You're looking at, you know, probably like $3,500 to do all the work. And then, of course, there's no guarantee. You could need a transmission. And, of course, there's the whole problem with the rust on the frame. And I looked underneath. There is a lot of rust on the front end, around the wheel well, not the wheel wells themselves, but underneath. And the frame, I mean, it's not a unibody, so the only way to replace the rusted parts is and it is pretty rusted. The only way to replace the rusted parts is replace the frame. Anyway, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, right now, it's not tagged or registered. My ex-husband is still driving it back and forth to wherever he needs to go and to work because the other car, and I'm going to get to that one in a minute, has issues and he can't really drive it. He can drive it a little, but can't really drive it. So that's pretty much the truck and how we came by the truck. Well, I moved my car down here to another spot over here in the parking that's supposed to be for McDonald's. Anyway, well, I forget that what I'm talking about was part of the last video. Anyway, to conclude on the truck, the whole reason we got the truck is because my ex-husband needed to go back to Oregon. And he had some stuff in storage in Oregon at someone's house or something, I don't know. But anyway, and he thought that he would need a truck to haul the stuff back. That was a bust. We drove the truck from North Carolina, actually North Carolina to California. We actually drove all the way to California, but we stopped in Oregon to get his stuff. Turns out the Lonnie or whoever it was, this buddy Lonnie or whoever it was that had his stuff, had gotten rid of all of his stuff. So anyway, though that was a bust. We didn't need the truck for that. Anyway, so that's how we ended up with getting the truck, is because my ex-husband needed to get his stuff, which turns out wasn't even available. Anyway, the truck did fine, but over the years I really didn't, he drove the truck a little, some, but I never was a big fan of the truck. I drove it a couple times, out on a road trip, but on the interstate, on the highway, but I really didn't like it that much. Now this year, after my Focus was totaled, I drove it, and I drove it around town, and I kind of liked it for an around town vehicle. It was fun to drive, but out on the road, I never really liked. I never cared for it. It just doesn't handle as well, as my Impala did, or my Fusion, or my Taurus. It just doesn't. And that's something else I want to address. I know a lot of people laugh, they're like, oh, Ford Taurus, oh, that's just, and they laugh. And then some people have told me, oh, don't bother with a Ford Taurus, don't bother to try to fix it because they're not worth fixing, yada, yada. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, as far as the truck, there's nothing really we can do with the truck. I know there is someone who wants to buy it, and my ex-husband doesn't really want to get rid of it. Unfortunately, I can't get it inspected because it needs, I think, an idler arm, which is a safety issue. It needs control arms for around town driving, it's fine. He's just basically driving it around with another tag on it, a tag that doesn't belong on it, and with no insurance, you know. And I told him about it, but you know, no tag, no insurance. I said, can't do that, but he's doing it anyway, and I don't know what else to do. I mean, you know, initially I had it, you know, not registered, but insured. And then the insurance is so much with me carrying full coverage on the car I have now. I just can't carry insurance on it. I can't afford it. So anyway, and I told him not to drive it, but he's doing it anyway. So anyway, I can't control what he does. And he needs to get back and forth to work. Anyway, in the car he was driving, there's a whole lot of issues with that. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. But as far as the truck, I like the truck. It makes me sick what's happened, but there's really nothing I can do. Anyway, this next video is, of course, of my Ford Focus in its wrecked condition, where I took the photographs on the interstate, I-85, going south, in Concord, North Carolina, which is just not very far north of Charlotte. Anyway, I think I've talked about this before. The driver in front of me that I didn't hit, when the semi rear-ended me, it caused me to go into the SUV that was in front of me. Anyway, the driver of that vehicle, a young driver, lied and said that he was hit twice. I'm sure that he probably thinks in his idiotic mind, in his idiotic young mind, that he's going to get double compensation. Compensation from my insurance company and compensation from the tractor trailer insurance company as well. That's not going to happen, but probably in his stupidity he thinks it will. Anyway, that's part of the reason that, well, one, I just want to go and fight, you know, fight the ticket, you know, and not pay the $300, because I mean, you know, that's ridiculous. I think in North Carolina, the trooper, I think if you rear end someone, regardless of the reason you rear end them, in North Carolina, they automatically have to give you a ticket for rear ending someone. My ticket was for failure to reduce speed, which is not accurate. I came to a complete stop, but the tractor trailer driver in front of me could not. I came and I did not, and I'm not the one that stopped in the middle of the interstate. The young driver in front of me in the Cadillac SUV decided to come to a dead stop in the middle of the interstate because there was some tire tread there. And I had to slam my brakes on, and I got stopped. Unfortunately, the tractor trailer behind me could not get stopped, slammed into me, knocking me into the Cadillac SUV. Anyway, regardless, the trooper wrote up 2 police reports and cited me for failure to reduce speed, which was not accurate, but regardless, that's what he did. He did it. He wrote me up. He also recommended that I take it to court and fight it. I think also, based on the lies of the driver in front of me, he's, you know, it says that I rear-ended the other driver, or he was hit twice. He claims that he was hit twice, once by me and then again when the tractor trailer driver hit me. Well, that's inaccurate. The tractor trailer driver hit me, and I hit his vehicle one time, but he lied. The trooper wasn't there. The trooper doesn't know. So the trooper just wrote down what the line SOB said. Anyway, and I don't mean to be mean, but you know, he did lie. And I'm pretty sure that he didn't forget what happened. I think he just lied, thinking that he would get double compensation, or, you know, or just for whatever reason he lied. Anyway, based on that police report, my insurance company decided to, basically had to take responsibility and pay for his damages to his vehicle and his medical bills as well. And I know that that's going to be exorbitant for me. I still have not got in touch with the trooper to ask if he will amend the police report. That's what my insurance company recommended, and I still have not managed to get in touch with him and ask him if he will amend it. I seriously doubt that he will, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Of course, the second thing is I am going to go to court. Now, initially I was scheduled to go on July 2nd, but when I called the Cabarrus County today in North Carolina, and when I explained to her that I'm having issues with my vehicle, transmission issues, she rescheduled my court date for October. I was surprised that she pushed it out quite that far, but that's fine. That's okay. I don't care. It's October. I really thought when I called, I just wanted to find out, you know, where do I pay the ticket? And I explained it to her, but I didn't think anything would happen. I just figured I'd be forced to pay the ticket, which is essentially pleading guilty to it, even though I'm not guilty. But anyway, luckily for me, she was nice and put it out till October. So luckily for me, I have until October to pull together everything that I need to do. One, hopefully by then my car will be fixed. If it is whatever's wrong, if it is a transmission replacement, by then they will have been able to see the car. I know because they told me at the dealership they can't see my car until the end of, you know, like end of July. So that's like a whole month away, and I was really, really amped up about thinking I'm going to have to drive the vehicle with a transmission issue to, you know, 150 miles away. But as of yesterday and this morning, that's what I was looking at. It was either drive the car with a transmission issue, hope it didn't burn the transmission up, you know, or whatever's going on, just drive it with a transmission issue, hope I don't break down on the side of the road, or try to pull something together and buy another car. As I said in another video, I can't rent one right now. My credit card the new credit card that the bank sent me has not come in yet, and it's not going to come in for a couple more weeks. So I was left literally with a couple of options, either going out and just trying to whoop together the money as best I could and buy something, or drive the car with a transmission issue and hope I didn't have any issues or problems on the road. Because I still have the other Ford, the one that was in the shop for 8 months, and I'd like to try to get that car fixed. Or do something. I'd like to try to get it back on the road. It only has 130,000 miles, and I'd like to see if I could get it back on the road. If I can't get it back on the road and there's no way to repair it, then I am going to be left with basically having to send that one to junk it. You know, I'm not going to have a choice. If I can't fix it, then I'm literally just going to have to take it to the scrapyard, basically junk it. That's all I can do. Part it out, maybe. I don't know. See what I can do, and buy something else. I'll be stuck with having to buy something else. But as of right now, and I've talked about this before, the car starts, it does run, and it will run for about 30 minutes before it gets hot. Now, my ex-husband found a split in the battery cable, and he thinks that might be part of the issue. I don't know. It's something that has to be fixed. He has not gotten around to fixing it, so I'm kind of thinking at this point, if he can't fix it, doesn't want to fix it, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to have to try to maybe take it to the dealer, take it somewhere, you know, and let them replace the cable. It's a cable that runs from the battery to the starter. Anyway, that's in another video. I'm going to talk about that car. And there's a lot to talk about on that car. Anyway, I don't think I would ever be comfortable driving that car, the other Ford, out on the highway or driving it any distance from home. I don't think I ever would be. However, I would like to try to get the car fixed and have it viable enough so that I can drive it an hour or two away if I have to. It's not something I'm going to do if I can get out of it, or not something I want to do. But now that AAA has at least resumed rideshare for at least one person in the tow truck, at least I know if it does break down, I can get a tow within 200 miles back to, 200 miles to home. Anyway, so that's I definitely want to try to see if I can get that car back on the road. And the only way I can do that is to, insure it, inspect it, and because I know it'll pass inspection easy, and drive it and see what happens if it keeps breaking down, and then if it does, make the decision to take it somewhere else and see if someone else maybe can figure it out. But I have to be able to drive it and see what it's doing now. I mean, what it did a whole year ago may not be what it's doing now. So I have to drive it and see if it's doing the same thing it did a year ago. Anyway, that said, it was basically supposed to be about my little car. But anyway, the little car, I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about the little car. Anyway, about my Ford Focus. The one that I was just completely totaled by a semi. Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there and was talking about the other car and wasn't really talking about the Focus, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm talking about each vehicle, previous to each, little video, whatever. Anyway, as far as the Ford Focus, I bought the Ford Focus in December 27th, 2007, brand new from Keith Hawthorne Ford in Belmont, North Carolina. Did not love the car when I bought it. Actually, they kind of pulled a shifty on me. I was trying to get into a 2006 Ford Escape at that time, and I drove the car off the lot. They kind of did one of those spot delivery type things, bait and switch spot delivery type things. Anyway, they called me up a few days later and they said I couldn't get approved for the Escape, so I had to bring the vehicle back. So I did. They showed me a gray Ford Focus. I told them right from the beginning I did not want a Ford Focus. Now, number two, I'd put $5,000 down, which they refused to give back to me. And I told them I didn't want a Ford Focus, but, that was, the one thing that I did like, though, I think I must have seen a red car on their lot. I don't know if it was a red Focus or it was I think it was red something else that was red. But anyways, a few days later, okay, so we went back and forth. I told him I didn't want the gray Ford Focus. It didn't have power windows. I didn't want that. I wasn't going to buy it. I just no. A few days later, so we went back and forth, and I think they showed me something else. I said no. A few days later, so I went home. A few days later, they called me up, come back again. I come back. They walked me out. They said, I think you're going to like this. And it was the red Ford Focus that got totaled. I never really liked the car. They wouldn't give me my money. I didn't want the car. I told them I didn't want it, but they wouldn't give me my money back, and I ended up having to just sign the papers and take the car anyway. And there's a whole other story with that one too. But anyway, a whole other story. But anyway, I never really liked the car, and it was, but it was brand new. Like, it had 445 miles on it. They had driven it. Someone had driven it from Jacksonville, Florida, a dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, to the dealership in Belmont. And I'm guessing they probably picked up something else. I want to say the salesman said that the person that delivered it picked up a pickup truck. I think. It's been a long time. But anyway, so I took off in the car, and I just kept going. I drove through South Carolina. Anyway, I ended up going all the way to, I think, first trip out, I ended up going all the way to Mississippi. As a matter of fact, I remember, I think I was on my way back, and I don't know where all I went. I know I may have went to Louisiana that first time. I don't remember. I know I went to New Orleans a couple times in the car. Anyway, on my way back, I remember I had like somewhere close to 3,000 miles. My first oil change for that car was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I had 5,500 miles on it. Well, a couple thousand miles, probably 3,000 miles or so into the car, the one thing I noticed that I really liked about the car was it was fast. was a fast little car. I mean, it was fast. It would get up and go. It really was fast. And I named the little car, in fact, I name all my cars, but, you know, some of the names are stupid. But anyway, I named my little red Ford Focus Zippy, because I said, I don't like you. I was talking to the car like an idiot, saying, I don't like you, but you sure are zippy. And it stuck. And from then on out, it was Zippy. And now, pretty much, if I ever get another small car, I hate to say it, it'll probably be named Zippy too, because of the fact that all those little cars are basically, to me, they're all kind of zippy, you know. Nissan Versa, Honda Fit, Ford Fiesta, they're all little, and they're all little. So, and I'm assuming they're, I would hope, just as fast. I don't know. Some of them have smaller engines, so I don't know, and I haven't checked them out, so I don't know. But anyway, and my little car, I never had any issues with that car, never did any repairs with that car, maybe a couple little repairs. Best car I ever owned. Hi, anyway, just got through doing a video, and I'm not sure what happened or how it got screwed up, but when I went to listen to it, for some reason it said 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and I only did like 1 minute and something. Anyway, I have no clue. This particular app, Beauty Cam, it completely screwed up. It come up earlier and told me to upgrade, and wouldn't let me save the video till I did. I've never seen that before, and I haven't done an update. Anyway, I am here at a grocery store, and I'm getting ready to leave. I made a mistake. I came down here to Subway and rang the bell, and before I realized that she'd already put all the stuff away, she was kind enough to make me a sandwich. I ended up, it's not exactly what I was planning on, but it's a sandwich. I like I usually do egg white on flatbread, but she had regular wheat bread. So I just took the wheat bread with whole egg and some cheese, and didn't do a lot of vegetables, just cucumbers, bell peppers, olives, and banana peppers. Didn't do a lot. Didn't want to make it any harder on her than I had to. Anyway, and told her I wanted mayo. Anyway, she brought the sandwich back. She was kind enough to make it. I know she said they were shorthanded. It was only her. And I didn't know. It said 10 o'clock. So anyway, I didn't know. But anyways, as I said earlier in this video, like I said, the 2001 Ford Taurus, it was a great car. It served me well. I did do a fair number of repairs, but it wasn't that bad. The truck, I wish I could have got more service out of it, but I didn't. And then, of course, there's the 2007 Ford Focus, one of the best cars I ever owned, hands down. It had 163,000 on it when its life ended on the interstate, when the semi rear-ended me. Best car I ever owned, hands down. It absolutely was the best car I ever owned, and I did not do that many repairs, only like maybe 2-3 repairs in 13 years. So I'm getting ready to leave this little area I'm in. First I need to put on my socks and shoes. It's a little cool tonight. I need to make my bed, and then I'm going to head down to the truck stop, and it's not quite 10 o'clock yet. I'm going to head to the truck stop. I'm going to pull this video together, head down to the truck stop, and eat my sandwich and probably watch a movie. So that said, I hope everyone has a good week, good month. God bless. Peace.